This town has a dark secret. Every 30 years, everyone in the town disappears without a trace. And when it happens again, nobody remembers it ever happened before. It all started with Jacob. He was born and raised in this seemingly normal town. He grew up with his best friends, Ben and Joe, and they never had a single worry in the world. The town was small, so everyone knew each other. Everyone was like family. There was no crime and no reason for anyone to leave. It was a great place to live. When he turned 18, Jacob got a job at the local newspaper. He loved reading the news as a kid, so it was a dream come true. One day while working in the archives, he came across an old headline that read, "Mass disappearance baffles authorities." It was from 30 years ago. Jacob was confused. What do you mean by mass disappearance? He thought maybe it was some kind of joke or prank that went too far. But then he saw the pictures. It was a picture of his parents and other people from the town. They were all standing together at the town square for the annual Founders' Day celebration. The next picture was from 3 days later. The same people were there, but their faces were scrunched up in terror as if they had just witnessed something horrible. And the last picture was a picture of the empty town. There wasn't a single person anywhere. Jacob tried asking some of the older employees about it, but they acted like they didn't hear anything. They kept changing the subject and wouldn't tell him what was going on. Jacob didn't know what to think. He went home that night and asked his dad if he knew anything about the mass disappearance. His dad looked at him for a moment without saying anything. Then he said, "Let's just say some people are better off not knowing some things." Jacob didn't know what that meant, but he couldn't keep it in anymore. He told his best friends, Ben and Joe, about what he had found. They were shocked. They couldn't believe something like that could happen in their town. They decided they needed to get to the bottom of this. They went back to the archives together and pored over every old newspaper they could find. They were hoping to find something that explained what had happened to the people in the town 30 years ago, but they found something even more shocking. They found articles about the same mass disappearance happening again and again throughout history. The first one they found was from 1898. It told the story of how one day 24 people just vanished into thin air. Then there was another one from 1928, then 1958, and finally 1988. And of course there was the most recent one from 2018. But there was one thing that really stood out to them. All of the missing people were under investigation for various crimes. In 1898, there was a judge who had been taking bribes. In 1928, there was a police officer who had been planting false evidence. In 1958, there was a doctor who had been poisoning his patients. And in 2018, there was a businessman who had been embezzling money from the town. It seemed like every 30 years, a new person would come to power who wanted to do evil things, but then they would be stopped. But how? Who was behind these disappearances? The answer surprised them. It was the same person every time, an enigmatic woman named Sylvia. She was always beautiful, always rich, and always in a position of power. But why did she do it? As they continued their investigation, they found out that Sylvia was a descendant of the original founder of the town. When the town was first built, it was made under the promise that it would be a place where people could come to escape the evils of the outside world. But Sylvia believed that the outside world was changing for the worse and that the people in her town needed to be protected. So she created a secret society that would remove anyone who threatened the safety and well-being of the town. And when they were done, there was no trace of them ever existing. Jacob was horrified. He never would have guessed that something like this was going on. He wondered if there was anyone in the town who remembered what had happened before. He decided to go to the oldest living person in the town, a woman named Martha, who was in her late 90s. When he got there, he introduced himself and explained what he was doing. Martha listened patiently, and then when he was done, she said, "You remind me of my son." He used to love reading the newspaper just like you. She paused for a moment. Tell me, Jacob, have you noticed anything strange lately? Like the feeling that you're being watched? Jacob thought about it for a moment. Yeah, actually, now that you mention it, I have. Martha nodded. I see. Then you already know. Jacob was confused. Know what? Just then, Martha's eyes flashed and she whispered, "Run." Before Jacob could ask her what she meant, Martha had fallen to the floor and was staring blankly ahead. Jacob quickly called 911, but by the time the ambulance arrived, Martha was dead. He was scared, but he knew he had to find out the truth. So he called his friends, and they all met up at his house. They talked about what had happened and decided that they needed to get out of town. But as they were leaving, they were stopped in their tracks. All of the cars in the town had disappeared, including their own. They were trapped. They ran to Sylvia's house and confronted her. She admitted that she was behind the disappearances, but she said that she was doing it to protect the town. She offered them a choice, join her or be erased. They refused and ran away. As they were running, they realized that everyone in the town had disappeared. It was just them and Sylvia. And that is the terrifying tale of Jacob and his friends, who uncovered the dark secret of their town. Are you glad you watched this video until the end? Comment below. If you want to see more videos like this, don't forget to hit the like button. Until next time, sleep tight and don't let the bedbugs bite.